Hi, my name is Lasyapriya and welcome to my poster. Today I'll be presenting on how visual distraction disrupts category-tuned attentional filters in the ventral visual cortex. We make use of space and object-based filters in our everyday lives to prioritize relevant visual information. For example, if you need to search for a friend on a busy street, you might be tuned to focus on people rather than buildings or vehicles, so you can identify your friend easier. But because we live in a dynamic world, attention can be captured by distracting information. What happens then? Well, the effects of distraction on spatial attention have been well documented, such as increased response times, but less is understood about other types of filters. So our main question we want to answer here is, how does distraction affect the control over a more long-term, stable attentional filter that prioritizes goal-relevant information, in this case, one that is tuned to category? We investigate this question with an fMRI task shown here on the left, where participants are presented with face-house hybrid images and are instructed to attend to either the faces or houses within a given block and respond based on whether the target stimulus repeats from the previous trial or not. Critically, on some trials, a distractor appeared briefly around one of the non-target locations. Our regions of interest include the fusiform face area, or the FFA, and the parahippocampal place area, or the PPA. We measured activation patterns here as evidence of attentional filtering, wherein, for example, effective filtering would be demonstrated by higher activation in the FFA when attending faces relative to attending houses. We also measure this with an attentional filtering index, calculated as shown here, where effective filtering for the preferred stimulus is indicated by higher positive values. Now let's take a look at the results. On the left, we have overall activation patterns for each of our ROIs, and on the right are the attentional filtering indices for the respective regions. And because we see similar patterns in both the FFA and the PPA, we'll take a closer look at the graphs for the combined ROIs here on the bottom. In the distractor absent condition, we see effective filtering behavior such that activation for the preferred stimulus is greater than that for the non-preferred. So in this case, for FFA in the attend face trials and the PPA during attend houses trials. However, in the distractor present condition, we see a disruption of this filtering activity. And interestingly, we don't see simply an elimination of preference. We actually observed a reversal of the filter, such that the non-preferred stimulus is incidentally prioritized relative to the preferred. Similarly, this pattern carries over into our attentional filtering index measures, where the filter reverses in the distractor present condition. We also tested the spread of this disruption by examining activation patterns contralateral to the target and contralateral to the distractor on trials where the target and distractor appeared on opposite sides of the display. Interestingly, we find that the filter reversal is not restricted to just the distractor location. Rather, activation contralateral to the target also showed the same pattern, illustrating that the filter disruption occurs globally across the visual scene. And to further confirm the filter reversal, we conducted two separate control analyses shown here, both illustrating the same reversal pattern. But why does this filter reversal happen? Well, one theory we tested was the possibility of adaptation to the preferred stimulus through repeated exposure, which would cause a relatively inflated response to the non-preferred stimulus after filter disruption by the distractor. And so to investigate this, we separated each block into a first and second half and looked at the patterns of activation for each. And as we can see here, filter disruption occurs in the distractor present condition for both halves, yet the reversal, evidenced by the negative filtering index value, only appears in the first half. By the second half, control over the filter is partially regained such that activation for the preferred stimulus is now greater than that for the non-preferred. Additional measures here on the right also indicate the effect of the distractor for each half of the block, overall showing that though distractors continued to capture attention throughout the block, by the second half, control over the category tuned filter was able to be partially regained. To conclude, in this study, we present a novel consequence that shows distracting information can disrupt a stable and global goal-directed attentional filter, resulting in the incidental processing and early on the prioritization of irrelevant information across the visual scene. And although we can't confirm why we observe a filter reversal yet, we do have further speculations. For example, that the filter reversal is a result of having only two attentional control settings, a possibility that can be explored in future studies. Overall, these data support our previously proposed filter disruption theory, which posits that distraction disrupts not only spatial attention, but other non-spatial filters that prioritize goal-relevant information as well. Thank you for listening.